My name is Randall Eggert. This class is Grammar and Stylistics. It's about writing clearly.
Pronoun vagueness. In this video, I'm going to be talking about one of the challenges of using pronouns in writing, namely vagueness. Now, pronouns, by their very nature, are vague. They can refer to just about anything, and we have to use the context to figure out what it is that they do refer to. And so what happens is that sometimes readers or hearers for that matter, just can't figure out what a pronoun refers to. I'm going to give an example that I think is just kind of funny. This is when my wife and I were first married, and I should point out that my wife is French, so English is not her native language. Well, we had just gotten married, and we were in France visiting her godmother. And, we were newlyweds, we were in our 20s, and we knew that we should bring a gift to a host. Right? So we were staying at her godmother's house, bring a gift. But we were awkward about it. We weren't quite sure how we were supposed to present the gift. And we discussed it in the car ride over. When do we give this gift? Well, we get in, her godmother's really wonderful person, and she invites us in and she directs us to where our bedroom is going to be. And so I, of course, get tasked with carrying the luggage up. And so I'm carrying the luggage up, and my wife meets me on the staircase, and she says to me kind of quickly, she says, "She just gave us a gift. Take it out and give it to her." And I was baffled because I was trying to figure out, well, what does it refer to? Now, of course, in her mind, it was quite obvious that it referred to the gift that she and I had brought, and not to the gift that the godmother had just given to us. It seems obvious in retrospect, but I had to sort of churn my brain trying to figure out what it is that she meant. We resolved it quickly, but it does get to that point that it can refer to lots of different things, and in the speaker or writer's head, it can often feel so obvious what it refers to, but not in the addressee's head. Let me give you another example. And this is where readers can get really frustrated by it, because they don't have the luxury, as I did with my wife in that situation, of just saying, "Wait, what do you mean?" So the worst offenders of this are pronouns it, this, that, and which. So consider this one. Nodge's 2001 paper discusses the text of an ancient manuscript describing an early experiment on the effect of combining an acid and a base. It is still poorly understood. Well, the question is, what does it refer to here? There are several possibilities. It could refer to the paper, that the paper is still poorly understood. Could refer to the text. It could refer to the ancient manuscript. Maybe it's just hard to read. It could refer to the early experiment. I suppose it could even refer to the effect of combining an acid and a base. Context would suggest that's probably not what it is, since that's not poorly understood. But the point is that a reader in that position has to run through those possibilities, and that's not fair. That's not the reader's job. The writer should make it clear what pronouns refer to. Here's another example. This is one of my favorite examples. This is one I really can't find the origins of this one. It seems to be just all over the internet. Imagine that this were a sign in a laundry service. "We do not tear your clothing with machinery. We do it carefully by hand." Well, the issue again is, what does that it refer to? Being charitable, presumably they meant we do your laundry carefully by hand. Here are a couple of examples I found online that I liked. Edwin told Kenny that Dr. Wilson suspected that he had cheated on the chemistry exam. In that case, of course, there's two possible antecedents for he. It could be Edwin, or it could be Kenny. I suppose it could even be Dr. Wilson, although that one seems a little less likely. The next one, the candy dish was empty, but we were tired of eating it anyway. Presumably, they're tired of eating the candy, not the candy dish, but that seems like the more likely antecedent. This is another one this is the sort of example I often get in drafts. So when students submit drafts to me, this is a fairly common sort of mistake to make. UASA 2010 discusses the ways that students plagiarize. She found that there are at least two types of plagiarism, intentional and unintentional. This shows that students are often confused by what constitutes plagiarism. It's that word this, and I see this word this frequently in drafts of students, where for the student writing the paper, it's clear to them in their head what they wanted to say. It's clear what shows the students are confused by what constitutes plagiarism. The problem is, for me as the reader, it's not clear to me. And I inevitably write what next to that, or a question mark, or something to indicate I can't figure out what it refers back to. This goes to something I've talked about in other videos, that we are our own worst editors, because we're so familiar with the argument we're making that we're not likely to see problems like this, where a pronoun could potentially refer to several things, or where the reader just isn't sure what it refers to. In situations like that, we need to fix it. And there are different ways that we can diagnose this. One is to have other people read our writing. One is to set our writing aside, maybe for a day, maybe for a week if we can, or even longer, and then read it with fresh eyes. And you are likely to be able to recognize situations where the pronouns aren't clear. The other thing to do, and probably the easiest thing to do if you're rushed for time, is just scan or even do a search of your paper for this, which, that, it, and just ask yourself each time, is it abundantly clear what the pronoun refers to? If not, fix it. Okay, here's another example of the sort of thing I've seen in drafts. Students are given little instruction on how to properly use sources, but risk a failing grade if they do it wrong, which is why so many students plagiarize. And here, what I'm mostly interested in is that which. I suppose the it is also potentially a little vague, although that one I think is clearer. It's that which that is the problem here, where it could refer to, I suppose, that students don't know how to properly use sources. Probably not to risking a failing grade if they do it wrong. But the point is that as a reader, you come across that and you stumble because you want to know what it refers to, but it's vague and it isn't as clear as it should be. It's clear in the writer's head, not in the reader's head. So, my final point, look for these pronouns and ask yourself if readers will be able to identify what they refer to. And if not, revise.